Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today we're going to be talking about Clover Health. The ticker goes with CLOV. Now, this is an update to my previous video where I went through the Hindenburg research on last Thursday. This one here, I'm going to go towards Clover Health part. Make sure to drop a like to this video to help the channel grow, subscribe, and leave notifications on. Let's jump right into this one. So first, we're going to go through the Diligence part and then technical analysis. If you'd like to skip through doors to technical analysis, feel free to do so. So Clover Health. Now, this one here, they did release a Medium paper or document in response to short sellers firm's questions. So I'll dive through that quickly here. So this is from Vivek Garpali and Andrew Toy, the president of Clover Health, the CEO and the president respectively. And their mission is to improve everyone's life. They're planning on a scale, blah, blah, blah. And here's the questions things. Did Chamath or Clover know about the ongoing DOJ investigations? If so, why was it concealed from investors? Chamath and Clover were fully aware of the DOJ inquiry. To be clear, Clover does not believe or has been in violation of any rules or regulations related to the inquiry. We went through both the IPO and the de-SPAC due diligence process, and this subject received extensive focus and attention. Consistent with the views of Clover's outside counsel, Social Capital's outside counsel, and independently retained outside counsel of third parties, including IPO's Underwriters Council, we included that the fact that DOJ's request of information was not material and not required to be specifically disclosed in our SEC filings. So how could a DOJ inquiry not be considered material information? As a heavily regulated organization participating in Medicare Advantage, Clover and its peers are receiving frequent requests for information from regulatory bodies. These are typically confidential. We promptly respond to these requests, and when they come in, as a short seller firm points out, the DOJ also often reaches out to ex-employees, including by civil investigation demands as part of our information gathering process. For absolute clarity, Clover Health believes it has made all appropriate disclosures which were reviewed and vetted by an outside counsel to all parties. Clover has not received any civil investigation demanding or subpoenas from the Department of Justice. Clover Health has received a request of information from the Justice Department, to which, as we do with all requests, we responded. This was on voluntary basis. Clover has conducted a detailed review of matters potentially addressed by the DOJ. Request for information has concluded that it is in compliance with all laws and regulations material to business. Up until the publishing of the short seller's request yesterday morning, Clover was unaware of any ongoing investigations of the company, its officers, or any companies which they are affiliated with. Following the request yesterday, Clover Health notice from the SEC. We believe that this inquiry is based on the short seller report issued yesterday morning. And this is regarding one of the SEC filings they've received, I believe, on the 5th of February, regarding that the SEC has started an investigation onto this, looking at the data. And Clover said they are fully going to be cooperating with these investigations. So that sounds good. Next, is Clover aware of any regulatory investigation into the company or Vivek Garpali and his related companies? If so, what are the details? Clover is unaware of any ongoing regulatory investigations except as noted above. Following the short sellers firm report yesterday morning, Clover received an inquiry from the SEC We believe this request is based on short sellers report issued yesterday morning. Has Clover received any subpoenas or civil investigation demands from regulators? If so, how many and from which regulators? No. Clover has not received any investigative demands or subpoenas from the Department of Justice. Clover has received a request of information from Justice Department, to which, as we do with all requests from regulatory bodies, we respond on a voluntary basis. Why does the Clover subsidiary Seek Insurance operate a website called seekmedicare.com, claiming to offer independent and unbiased advice on selecting Medicare plans without disclosing that it's owned by a Medicare plan provider, representing a blatant conflict of interest? Seek Medicare is a startup that was incubated and set up as a separate company from Clover. It has its own management team and outside investors, a nationally recognized public company, board, and employees. Clover and outside investors shares in governance of Seek at the board level, including decisions such as nominating the CEO. Clover has the right to appoint board members, currently Andrew Toy, Clover's president and CTO, The outside investor has a right to appoint a board member, currently an employee of an outside investor, and the third board member, the CEO, must be mutually agreed upon. In addition, this investor has unilateral contractual option to convert its investment into 50% equity ownership of Seek. It's not unusual for payers to create or have stakes in FMOs. What makes Seek different is that we fundamentally believe that Medicare consumers are simply not well informed, and that it hurts their ability to get affordable, great healthcare. Seek is a purpose built to deliver against that problem in order to make sure it could effectively pursue its goals. Okay, so we're going to move on forward. One final note here. Seek is a brand new startup, and its website is still in version 1.0. Please take a look back next week when the version 2.0 comes out. Clover's subsidiary, Seek Insurance, claim on its website, "We did not work for an insurance company, we work for you," despite literally being owned by Clover. And an insurance company, what is your response? While Seek is an affiliate, as we said, it operates separately from Clover, with its own financing and its own goals, which are to provide neutral, objective advice to Medicare eligibles and to empower, educate, and assist them. Seek offers Clover plans, but more importantly, Seek offers many more coverage options. In fact, in every market in which Seek operates, Seek endeavors to offer at least 80% off available plans in the market. Even though Seek began very recently, it was able to stand up its agency in the most recent AEP and also launch a pilot 100 retail locations in 6 states, with a focus on the market in Georgia, New Jersey, and Texas. If you want to see the objectives of Seek, we think the results of Seek's initial sales period speak for themselves. Percent of Seek sales by insurance plan in its most recent AEP. So far, it's looking good, by the way. So you get to see Clover is only 13.5. The rest is all different ones. United Health Group. In fact, one of the biggest ones is Cigna, Humana, CVS, and Aetna. So the list goes on. How much has Clover paid B&H Insurance, the undisclosed outside brokerage firm run by Hiram Bermudez, its head of sales since inception? Clover has paid approximately $160,000 directly to B&H since 2017. Hiram has disclosed the following in connection with his B&H relationship. He does not receive any compensation, direct or indirect, from B&H Insurance for any work related to Clover. He maintains a 50% ownership interest in B&H Insurance, which he has owned since before he joined Clover. Hiram's only work on behalf of B&H Insurance is its monitoring compliance and negotiating contracts from time to time with parties that do not include Clover. He maintains an ownership interest in B&H Insurance so that in the case he separates from Clover, he has the option to go back to the brokerage agency he co-founded and not start over. As a general matter, Clover engages with brokers in each of its markets, disclosures, distributes its plans, blah, blah, blah. Basically, as well, by state, insurance, and actively monitored by both internal compliance and CMS. These are including secret shoppers and other methods. What portions of Clover business has been referred by B&H Insurance since inception? Approximately 8,200 for current members were referred by B&H Insurance to Clover. While B&H has been a strong provider, we strongly disagree with the statement that B&H alone has fueled Clover's growth. We believe that all Medicare Advantage plan has key producers relationship, and to say those relationships somewhat legitimately fuel growth is a misnomer. So that kind of covers that. Former employees told us that the relationships between Clover and B&H Insurance has transferred into the name of Hiram Bermudez's wife for compliance purposes. NAIC filings confirmed that it was transferred into his wife's maiden name weeks after the go public announcement. What is the explanation for that? The statement underlying this question is false and misleading. The reason B&H Insurance appointment list does not include Clover is that B&H has what is referred to as a downline relationship with Ritter Insurance Marketing, which contractors directly with Clover. Noted that it appears B&H does not contract directly with a number of other plans based on the cited NAIC record page, rather than nefarious circumstances. That is also standard construct in the Medicare Advantage world. Further, the statement interpreting Yesenia Rivera Bermudez NAIC profile are incorrect, and in conclusion, 1. There were no transfers of any relationships between Clover and B&H Assurance from Hiram's to his wife. 2. The NAC filing shows that on August 14, 2020, Mrs. Bermudez was directly appointed by Clover Health and to be able to sell Clover plan as an agent. All right. For context, Hiram underwent a major organ transplant surgery at the end of the year last year due to chronic kidney disease. He thankfully is doing very well after his surgery. Hiram informed us that he and his wife made a decision for her to go through the broker certificate so that if in conditions deteriorates further, she should be able to take over his 50% ownership of B&H. Will Clover produce agreements showing that the transfer of relationships into Hiram's Bermudez wife, who signed off the agreement and which her senior members of the management knew about the deal? See previous response. Is Clover aware that disclosure of significant transactions with key senior employees is something investors would like to know, so they can be made aware of potential material conflict of interest? Consistent with applicable laws and regulations, Clover has no conflict of interest. So far, it's all amazing. I see a lot of different explanations. If you'd like to go through this one here, it's on their website on Clover. I'll show you exactly how to get there. It really does show that there is quite a lot of transparency that Clover is attempting to do. One of the things that I wanted to look at here is if Clover software is so delightful to use, why does Clover have to pay doctors the extra $200 per visit? We think it's a big part of the innovation model of Clover and why it's so important that we build a tool internally as a payer. The Clover Assistant is a SaaS type enterprise clinical decision tool, but rather than to charge physicians to use it, we instead reimburse PCPs to encourage them to use it and to recognize the incredibly important role PCPs play in assessing and taking care of our members and controlling costs. PCPs receive less than 5% of the total medical expenses in the US, and we believe that to solve that ballooning healthcare expenses in our country, we need to shift the more focused resources and compensation to the primary care doctors. So far speaking, I do think that there's a massive transparency from Clover, and I do think that the response satisfies for me as an investor. Now, generally speaking, they went through every single point, and I do like that here. Now, quick thing here, if you would like to get to where I was just showing you where that is, you're going to go to About Us, you're going to go to Investors, you're going to go to Recent Release, and then you're going to go on for the last one there. And you'll be able to see basically the entire document. You can go ahead and read it for yourself. Institutional buyers seem to be still firm on this one. I don't see pullouts there. Institutional insiders are quite solid. Now, Chamath here is one of the key players for Clover Health. And so far, he seems to be very much of an advocate, cool-minded, so looks good, generally speaking. I don't have an opinion on him, directly speaking. I don't know him. I haven't seen a lot of him, what he talks about, but he is the chairman of Virgin Galactics as well. And he seems to be cool-minded a little, and I heard he has a little bit of sass, but generally speaking, if you would like to follow him, you might get some updates there rather than just from the website for Clover Health. Make sure to actually drop me a follow as well. Let's move on towards technical analysis point. Before we do so, please make sure to actually subscribe and leave notifications on. It really helps me a ton. I'm not saying that just because I would like more subscriptions or more, let's say, follows or whatnot. I'm asking this one because it really does help my places and algorithms. Now, towards technical analysis, on a 2-hour perspective, just because this is a recent stock, things are looking a little bit bearish at this point. Well, of course, it's dropped from what it was around $14 down to $11.30. It's kind of accumulating a little. There has been a little bit of an ease coming in a little bit towards Friday, and that is an amazing thing. It kind of created that push. Right now, people are still fearing that SEC investigations are a little bit hesitant in selling out, so that's why it's starting to look bearish. A technical analysis is not going to play very much of a point. All it's about right now is mentality and psychological impact, as well as supports and resistances. So we can dive through supports and resistances before I can mention what I think is going to happen for this one. So 1684 would probably be your top here, and then 1130 is the bottom. Your significant supports and resistances, current resistance, it's at 1261, 1342, 1407, 1473, 1566. No current supports are from below there other than 1130. Now, quickly going ahead, if I was to use just a price line action, you get to see there is a significant support sitting at 1217, below there 1164, above their resistance is 1302, And then you're looking at 1334, you're looking at 1368, you're looking at 1399, up to 1427, and then jumping up to around 14, I'd say 67, and then up a notch to 1541 to 1577. Now comes to the question to Ed, what do you think is probably going to happen? I think that it's still shaking a little bit off some investors, still not really having a good taste in their mouth. Hindenburg brings other shorts to the stock. Now, I'm not saying short sellers are evil, okay? Some of them have basically showed us a massive amount of fraud in the market. Others, they're not so accurate just because, you know, if they shoot 100 reports, even if 2 of them actually are right, they're doing us a favor for investors. Now, short term, it does hurt us because the stock does drop quite a lot. For all disclosures, I go long and I go short all the time. Although I have gone short previously on a couple of stocks Hindenburg mentioned. This one, I'm in no way ever going to go short on this one because I believe in this one. What they're doing seems to be very useful, and I do hope that they actually deliver through it. The SEC is going to hold them accountable if they're not, and I think that it probably spooked people in there for Clover Health to make sure that the quality and the information there is are accurate and that everything moving forward will be based on promises, and so basically puts them on straight. But I do think that there's nothing to worry about here, and I think we can go ahead and catch on a little bit of this nice pullback to increase your investments and take in the small positions as we go. Now, I did previously say probably will go down to $11 to $10. It did actually go down to around $11.30, but it stabilized around $11.62, and I'll continue adding on every, I would say, $1.50 down from this point on. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. You have a wonderful day.